let's do part 2 of our full body stretching class. So this is from the top to the bottom. We did a number of stretches on the way up, and these are going to be slightly different, if not completely, some of them will be completely different, but slightly different stretches than we did in part 1 on the way up. So shake out the arms, make sure you're feeling good and ready to stretch. If you need to warm up again, warm up a little bit more, get the blood flowing, bounce back and forth, right? Jog, that's fine, right? Make sure that everything is re-primed. Even if you just moved 30 minutes ago or 20 minutes ago, you still want to make sure that everything's ready again, freshly ready to move. Okay, so we're starting from the top to the bottom. There will be some stretches in a chair. There will be a couple on the floor, but not all of them. And then quite a few standing. Pick and choose what you like. You're welcome to cherry pick, right? And if you liked some stretches in part 1 that you don't like in this, you're welcome to go back to those stretches. That's fine, okay? Mix and match. All right, I'm going to bring my nose down toward the ground, top to bottom for this sequence here, part 2, and I'm gonna stretch the back of my neck by looking down and rocking my forehead left and right. Okay? Rocking left, rocking right. And it's gentle, right? It's not aggressive. It's slow and steady. There's control there. I'm not flinging my head back and forth. It's got a little bit of tempo to it, but pretty smooth. Okay? And slowing it down now. If you want to look up at me, you can, but I'm going to count it out and kind of tell you where I'm at. I'm going to count to about 4 on each direction. So toward the right, 2, 3, 4, toward the left, 2, 3, 4, toward the right, 2, 3, 4, toward the left, tucking the chin, 3, 4, toward the right, 2, 3, 4, and last one, 2, 3, 4. Roll the chin up or roll the neck up in the center, shrug the shoulders a couple times, shake it out, and let's work our way down the body. These are for the shoulders. We did a very similar one. We're just going to add to it in part 2 here. Right arm comes across, give it a nice hug. And before we just paused, it was static. This time I'm going to rotate the upper body. So if this is your right arm pointing left, you want to rotate left. Okay? If it's your left arm pointing right, you want to rotate right. But here I am with stretching my right arm. A little bit of rotation here. If that bugs your shoulder, right? Don't let it bug your shoulder. You can pull down and across, and that'll be a little bit less pinpointy, right? It probably won't bother the shoulder quite as much. If it's still bugging you, then, stop, right? We fight through fatigue in a lot of classes, but we don't push through pain. So if it's sharp pain, stop doing any of these exercises, not just the shoulder one. Okay, so I like to pull up and across and rotate. And switch sides here, left arm comes across. You may or may not feel this tension, right? Just like before in part 1, this muscle is often very elastic for, ready for full range of motion usually. And these muscles are just not usually something that is a bother for people, but it's still good to stretch, right? It's still good to activate those muscles, move them around, even if they don't feel a ton of tension. Good and healthy to maintain what they have. Okay, coming out of that, roll the shoulders back a few times and forward a few times. Awesome, awesome, awesome. For the chest, we did the circles before, so this time I'm going to have my arm up and back, come down and across. I'm doing the disco dance on the way back down. So up and back, down and across. And this can also be done in a chair, right? So 1 foot forward. Well, I guess I'm just kind of turned a little bit. Down and across, up and back. Okay, so instead of the big circles, disco dance, down and across, up and back. I'm looking for tension in my chest here from the shoulder down, kind of in a diagonal line of pull. Now you might have to come up higher than other folks. You might have to come back more than other folks. If this is pinching your shoulder, you want to change what you're doing. You may even just pull up and back with a bent elbow. I like the long arm. I feel that stretch a little bit more for myself. This is a slow movement though. Just make sure it's a slow movement. It's not like you're pulling a lawnmower. It's not, you're not trying to start the engine, right? It's just a slow, steady movement. And I'm gonna switch to the other side. Standing or seated is fine. Up and back, down and across. Make sure we're breathing here. Good work, good work. I'm gonna do a few more, then I'll be on to the back muscles, the rhomboids and middle traps. All right, and one more. Okay, coming out of that. All right, this back exercise, right? Last time we did an active stretch where we circled around, okay? This time, I'm gonna do a static stretch, and I know you don't have to bounce down to the ground and up and all that. If you have a chair, you can anchor to your knees. If you've got some kind of doorway, you may be able to hold on to a doorway and kind of lean back. Here's what it looks like seated, and I will show a floor one. You don't have to get on the floor though. Nice wide feet. Keep the knees in the same spot, right? Knees are sturdy, feet are in the same spot. We're not pulling the leg in and across, we're keeping it there. It's a statue, right? I'm gonna reach my hands over to my right knee, and since my knee stays there, my hands are gonna stay there too. Okay, they're anchored there, they're static, they stay put. I'm gonna take my core here, my spine, and I'm going to lean away from that knee. I'm gonna lean back. Since this is my left arm, I'm gonna lean back to the left. Getting some tension back behind my shoulder here. Okay, I'm pointing to it, but I know you can't see it because I'm turned around. Back here between my shoulder blade and my spine. Okay, so I'm leaning away from the knee that I'm holding onto. It's my left arm, so I'm pulling back to the left. A static stretch you wanna hold, okay? Keep going there and even switch to the other side whenever you're ready. Now, I don't have a good doorway to show you this with, but you would hold on to a door and just pull back, turning slightly left to get tension in the left. Hold on to a doorway, pull back, slightly turning right to get tension in the right. Let me show you this on the floor for those folks who are gonna get on the floor. I don't know, that might be everybody, that might be nobody, I don't know. Bring your feet together, and this is just a posture that I sit in. It's not a butterfly stretch. It's butterfly stretch ready, but we don't actually do the butterfly stretch. So I'm gonna hold underneath one knee, right? This is my right knee again, pulling back to the left, and I lean back. I'm not trying to pull my knee across. The knee is supposed to be staying put. It's supposed to be a statue. I pull back like that, and I just hold, right? And you wanna do the same thing on both sides. You might do it for 35 seconds or more, right? For a good long static stretch. Do it until those muscles really lengthen and relax out. Right? Slow and steady wins the race. Too much intensity can strain things. So be slow, be moderate. Continuous progress each week is better than trying to make an extra 5% gains by pulling really, really hard and then having a setback and then being out for 3 weeks, right? It's better to make slow progress than to have a giant fallback. So, all right, let's see here. If you ever wanted to, you could kneel and like hold on to a chair, okay, and get that a very similar pull. I don't have a good way to describe that for your equipment because your chair might be different than mine, right? But there are ways to get the back muscles in a good rhomboid stretch holding onto a chair as well. I think the doorway, if you can picture a door frame here, pulling on that would work as well. I like the seated one and the floor one though. All right, roll the shoulders a few times. Let's do a lat stretch. So last time we did an active one on the way up. For part one, this is part two. We're gonna do a static stretch here. At a wall, I'm gonna face the wall, right hand over to the left, tip over, okay? So my right hand reaches up and over to the left, and I'm going to push my ribs over to the right. You can also be on the opposite side, left hand over to the right, tip over, push your ribs over to the left. So you're bending side, a little side bend there, okay? So that's the stretch. You're anchoring to the wall and then pushing the ribs away from the anchor. Anchoring to the wall, push your ribs away from the anchor. Facing the wall is fine, facing the length of the wall is fine. If you're in a chair, I'm gonna do this without a wall, even though you can do the same thing. You can still face the wall and hold on. I'm gonna do this with wide legs and just reach over and hold, okay? Just to offer a wall-less option and a seated option. But again, you could face a wall and hold on and kind of anchor there as well, okay? Coming out of that, switching sides. This isn't my most comfortable stretch, I will say. For me, bending over like this kind of limits my breathing capacity. All right, I'm gonna come out of that and work our way down the body. So next up is our glutes, okay? I don't have a great standing glute stretch, so these next two stretches are gonna be in a chair and on the floor. If you're in a chair, last time we just crossed the leg over. You're welcome to do that again. On the way down the body, I'm going to bring my ankle over and lean forward, okay? If you can't get your ankle over your knee, you're gonna want some kind of stool, or I've said many times before, an upside down trash can that's empty, right? And better be empty. So ankle over that, and then you can lean forward. So kind of working your way into more and more mobility over a long period of time. It's not gonna be like 2 weeks, you get halfway up your shin to all the way up your knee. It's gonna be like several months. It's very slow progress, right? So here you go. Here's the stretch. Ankle over the knee. You can hold on to the chair and lean forward as an option. Okay, or you just cradle the leg and pull it up. This is a static, staying put, right? It's not active. You're not in and out of tension, moving around a lot. And we're looking for tension on the side of the leg. Make sure you get both sides if you're doing this stretch. So ankle over the knee and pull it back. If you're on the floor for this stretch, you're welcome to stay up or do other stretches in the meantime if these ones aren't reasonable to get to for you. You want to lay onto your back, okay? Onto your back, ankle over the knee, and then rock it back. So this is the same stretch as in a chair. It's just that my whole body is supine now, right? So the whole body tipped back essentially. It's the same stretch. I get my ankle over my knee and rock back. I will say, for the folks who are in a chair, doing the ankle over the knee and looking like you're reading a newspaper, right? That's what it looked like to me anyway. That might be harder to get your ankle over the knee than it is on the floor, right? Obviously for some folks it's going to be harder to get to the floor and back up, but if you can make it to the floor and back up, this one's easier to get your ankle over the knee because you have all this like straight room. You can straighten your legs out and start low and then hop your leg up, right? And maybe that's as far as you get and you get a lot of tension there, or maybe you can rock it back and pull the legs toward your shoulders. I'm saying toward on purpose. It's not to, right? Good luck bringing that all the way to your shoulder. If you can do it, I don't know. You're pretty flexible on that joint anyway. Don't force anything, right? Don't go forcing a wild range of motion. If you injure yourself, I won't be impressed. I'll be sad for you. Cross the ankle over the other knee and rock it back. Resting the head on the ground. Okay. All right. Working our way down the body now. I'm going to skip over the quadriceps because I'm going to do some of them on the floor on the way down the body, and some folks aren't going to want to get on the floor for it. So I'm going to do the hamstrings next. Okay? I did a static hamstring stretch. Sorry. I did an active hamstring stretch in part 1. Part 2 today, we'll do static hamstring stretches. They could look like this if you're on the floor. Heel down and toe up, hinge forward, a fairly straight leg here, looking for some tension under the hamstrings. Okay, if you're on the floor. I'm gonna get up now though. If you're standing, you can either hold on to a chair, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, push the bottom back with a fairly straight leg in front, although it doesn't need to lock out, right? It doesn't need to be perfectly straight. Just push the bottom back, flare the tail up versus tucking the tail. You want to push the tail up for the hamstrings. You could be at the wall. These are all the same stretch. It's just a static hold, and you decide what you're holding on to. Or if you're in a chair, seated, it would look like this. Heel down, toe up, hands on the hips, and hinge forward. And we just hold there. I say hands on the hips. It's not required. You can put your hands on your non-target leg here if you'd like. But what I try to avoid is touching the toe, right? It's not that there's anything bad about touching your toe, right? If you're that flexible, great. But what I find is most people are rounding their back in order to touch their toe, not getting a greater hamstring stretch and not protecting their low back. You want to pull your shoulder blades back, have a nice straight spine, and sure, if you can hinge forward enough with your shoulder blades back to touch your toe, which as you can see right here, this is as far as I can go. I'm like, I don't know, 14 inches off. I'm not even close. If I round my back and touch forward, sure, but that's just cheating myself, right? That's not how flexible I am. That's my back rounding. So I'm pulling my shoulder blades back, looking for attention. Did I say that? Looking for tension. I'm just looking for attention, you guys. Looking for tension in the bottom of that straight leg. Okay, switch sides. If you're on the floor, switch sides. If you're in the chair, switch sides. If you're on the wall, if you're holding on to the chair, switch sides. Hinging forward. Breathing. And take your time with it, right? If you want to come out of that and do the active stretches that we did in part 1, that's great as well. Make sure you can wiggle your toes and they're not getting numb. If they are, you probably don't want to lock your knee out, right? If you're locking your knee out and your toes are getting numb, you've probably got a little bit of tension or kink or some kind of pressure on a nerve, right? Nerves are responsible for sensation. And so if you're getting nerve issues, you want to make sure there's good flow in the leg. And maybe active stretches might be preferable for you over these place and hold static stretches. All right, I'm going to come out of that. Shake the legs, tap them, tap them, tap them. All right, come on up. Hip flexors, standing, okay? And that's because I don't have a good chair stretch for the hip flexors. This one, I used to do one and it was bugging my knee, so I don't do that one anymore. Anyway, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. What we did in our first, right, part 1, from the legs all the way up to the neck, was this. Now, instead of having parallel feet, I'm gonna turn this back toe out a little bit. Let me get this chair out of the way. Back toe out a little bit. And what that's going to do is kind of stretch my inner groin hip flexor area. So instead of directly getting just the hip flexors here in the front, I'm turning the back toe out, and it's still going to be very adjacent, very close to that muscle area, but it's kind of the inner groin a little bit more. So that front knee is bent just a slight bit. If you need to step farther apart, then that's fine. What we're looking for is tension on that inner hip, okay? My back toe's out maybe 70, 80 degrees. No more than 90 though, right? If this is 90 degrees, one directly that direction, one directly that direction, you don't want your toes opened up like, what is that, an obtuse angle, an obtuse triangle? You don't want them opened up more than 90 degrees. Just a little bit of open in the back toe and hip, and then rotate the upper body toward the front toe. Your hips are not going to line up like this toward the front toe if the back toe is out. That's a good thing, right? We're looking for a small amount of tension as we rotate. And I do, as I turn my shoulders left, this follows, and I get a little bit of tension on that inner hip, inner groin area. Breathing. Okay, tip forward, push the bottom back, and then let's step together, switch sides. So my left foot comes back, okay, a little bend in the front knee, stacked vertical shin, right? Not pointing my knee beyond my toe, just a vertical shin, knee above the ankle. Back toe turns out a little ways. And then I'm going to turn my shoulders and hips toward the front toe in the same direction that the front toe is going. Breathing. We're getting toward our last few stretches here. Almost getting the whole body in today. Next up, well, we'll get there when we get there. Let's focus on this so that we're not bugging our bodies. Let me just show you another angle there. It is forward to back toe turns out, and then I'm turning toward my front toe. Again, those hips are still going to be slightly opened up from the direction of that front toe. They're not going to perfectly line up, and that's okay, right? Anatomically, it doesn't really make sense for them to line up. Just give it a little bit of tension. Okay? I'm going to come out of that, tip forward, and then bring the feet closer together, slow and steady. Shake out the legs gently. Let's come all the way down to the bottom. These are the calves. And last time, this is basically what we did last time on the way up on part one. But we'll do a very similar stretch. So heel down and back, holding onto a chair. I stayed in a static posture last time, I believe. So I'm just going to rock. Okay, I'm just adding in and out of tension. It's not a big difference, right? Just looks a little more athletic, but it's making it a little bit more active, rocking in and out of tension. I still want to hold on to something because if you do this without, there's no horizontal pressure. It's not getting quite as much. If you don't have anything, I don't know. Where are you? Are you in a park with no walls? Anyway, yeah, you probably have something to push off of, but if you don't, that's okay. Do the best you can with what you have. Just standing there, pushing the heel down and back. All right, holding on, heel down and back. Even if you're in a park, you got a tree to push on probably. Heel down and back, a little bit of rocking. Tabletop would work, countertop would work, a door would work as long as nobody's gonna come through it. All right. Great. Awesome job, everybody. Okay, for the folks who are not going to get on the ground right now, I would still recommend checking out what I'm about to do for the quadriceps. On part one, I did a quadricep stretch standing, okay? I'm going to do a floor quadricep stretch now. If you're not going to get on the ground, that's okay, but you might watch these and save them for later, right? If you've got a couch that you can lay down on your stomach for or a bed, right, then you can possibly do these later, even if you're not going to get on the floor right now. So I don't have a chair stretch for these quadriceps. That being said, you could kneel down, right? Both knees, and bring your hand to your foot and pull up and back. Okay, so it looks like this from another angle. Here you go. Left hand to right foot, pull up and back. Right hand to left foot, pull up and back. However, if that bothers your knees, it's probably no good, right? Then you'd want to get on your stomach for these next couple of options. On our stomachs, and again, you don't have to do this right now. If you don't have a good floor for this, good squishy mat, a clean surface, do it on a couch, do it on a bed. You want to probably have your forehead on a pillow, which I don't have in here. So I'm just resting on my arm. And you just bring your heel up and back and pull with your hand. Now, if you don't have that mobility, there are things you can use, like a belt, to loop around your ankle and pull. Okay, you can stay there. I'm just going to show you what I have here. For example, this is a yoga strap. I think it was, it might have been $5 on Amazon. I don't know. They're not much, but you don't have to have a yoga strap, right? It can be anything. It can be just anything that's sturdy. So on your stomach, if you can't reach all the way back, right? Maybe somehow loop it around there. You can, here we go. That was goofy. Do it this way. Put it over your shin, then get on your stomach, and then, see, I don't usually use this because I can reach my ankle, but there we go. Over the shin, then pull it with both of your hands. You can even come back down to one hand once you grab both straps. Okay, so that's an option if you can't quite reach your ankle. Then maybe once you've pulled your heel closer toward your bottom, then maybe you can reach, right? So that may be an option for you if you need some kind of strap. By the way, how did I get into that? My first try was a little bit of a failure. You might put it around your ankle first, and then keep holding on to it, and then get onto your stomach, and then pull. So something like that. The other one that I like to do on my side, and this one doesn't work, right, if you've got a shoulder injury. If you've got a shoulder issue where the pressure on your shoulder is not going to be good, then don't do this one. Elbow down, I'm on my side, and I'm just going to tuck my right toe back here. I hardly even need my hand, maybe just to set up, but I'm pushing my hips forward, giving a little bit of tension in my quadriceps here. My toe's anchored to the ground, it's just tucked, okay? I'm gonna flip around so you see both sides. But again, this would bother my shoulder, right? If I had a twinge in my shoulder right now, a pain, a sharpness, I would not do this. I would skip this one, okay? Spine is nice and in line. You don't want your head resting down like this and bent. You want it nice and straight. What I did with my toe, when I was flipped the other way, I just pulled it back and I tucked it there. Now I'm squeezing my glutes and I'm pushing my hips toward my wall back here. Straight ahead, looking for tension in the quadriceps. Breathing. Okay. Take your time with that. You're welcome to spend a lot more time with that if you'd like. If you did not get on the ground, that's okay. You're welcome to try those later on a couch, in a bed, whatever. And I suppose that's it. Thank you guys so much. That was part 2, top to bottom of our stretch class. And those aren't all of our stretches, right? There are definitely others that we add in to our full body stretching classes. Hey guys, one last thing. If you would like to help spread this channel to other people on YouTube, go ahead and click the subscribe button and the like button, and that'll help YouTube decide that this video is good enough to share with other people. So if you like it and you want other people to see it, go ahead and click those buttons, and yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.